Welcome students. So let us see another part of our previous video. In the last video we had seen how to use a data member and how to use a member function inside a class. We will explain this methodology further. Like in this class, you can see that we are having one integer variable which is declared as a data member within this class. We are having an access to one member function which is named as fun, and we are having a function which is main, and inside this main we had created an object ob, and we had made a call to this function fun with respect to ob. Now today we will see that how this data member can be used with different objects. So let us right now create first another object of this class. It is 1 ob2 is equal to new 1. You must always remember how to create an object in Java. Object in Java is always created with the keyword new followed by the name of the class followed by parentheses. Later on we'll also see that this is actually a reference to the constructor. अभी इस वर्ड को एक्सप्लेन नहीं करेंगे because we will explain it once this particular video ends, and we'll explain the another concept of object-oriented programming which is called as encapsulation. So we'll explain constructors and the other related things with encapsulation in the next video. Now that we can see that there are two objects ob and ob2 with us, and I want to see what these two ob or objects contain. With these two definitions, let me show diagrammatically how these two objects actually reside in the memory. So once you create ob and ob2, we know that these two objects are nothing but two variables in the memory. How these two objects look like in the memory? Suppose I am giving you a visualization of this memory. Now these two objects will be separate in the memory. Separate in the memory means they will be containing a separate memory spaces, and they will not share the space with each other. Now what these ob and ob2 are? We know that these two objects belong to the one class. That means the class of both the objects is the similar one, that is 1. Now what do we mean by this data member? This data member specifies that every object of this class 1 will have an access to this integer int var. Like this ob will be having a space to store a variable int var. Similarly, the another object, if there is, that will also store int var with it. Now what is the value of int var? As we have not defined yet, this int var is not storing anything. Now let us give a value. How the value can be given as? The value of this object can be given through a function. Like we move on to a member function and we say, and we start with another one property that says that every member function can have an access to the data members, can access to every data member, any data member of this class. Now as I have said, this fun is a member function, so it can access this int var. How? Suppose if I write int var is equal to 1. So int var is initialized to 1, and you know that if I make a call to this function, ये क्या करेगा? जब भी हम इस फंक्शन को एग्जीक्यूट करेंगे, जो हमारा डाटा मेंबर है int var, that will store 1, उसमें 1 स्टोर हो जाएगा. Now as you can see in main, हमने इस fun फंक्शन को कॉल किया with respect to the object ob. तो जैसे ही हम ob.fun करेंगे this statement gets executed. और जैसे ही ये स्टेटमेंट एग्जीक्यूट होगी int var will be 1. What do we mean by this? This will mean that this int var will be 1 with respect to what? It will be with respect to this ob only. Inside this memory, you know that there are two int vars available. Why there are two int vars? Because there are two objects. But only one object is initializing int var, that is ob, because we have called this function fun with respect to ob only. So if we call ob.fun, this int var is equal to 1 is done for ob only. So this int var will be storing 1 here only. Until we do what? We make a call to this fun to ob2 like ob2 dot fun. So now if we execute fun with respect to ob also, as we do it, your ob2 will also contain a definition of 1 to int var. Now that our two objects are initializing these two variables, ob and ob2 both are containing 1 into their respective int vars. So let us see how whether it is actually showing it or not. इसको एक्सप्लेन करते हैं. इसको एक्सप्लेन करने के लिए we must know, सिर्फ कहने से काम नहीं चलेगा कि both variables are containing 1 into it until or unless we see it practically. So let us create another function which displays the value of int var for both the objects. Let us create another member function with the name as print me. What this function does? This function will try to print the value of int var, and we know that in order to print we are calling system.out.println. Let me repeat, आपको अभी घबराने की जरूरत नहीं है. इस फंक्शन को भी डिटेल में समझाया जाएगा system.out.println in coming videos. Until now we are making use of it in order to say how this variable, how this function is trying to print the value of I. अगर आप C प्रोग्रामर हैं तो आप इस println फंक्शन को printf फंक्शन से रिलेट कर सकते हैं. In C we were trying to do it using printf, but in Java we try to do it with system.out.println. Nothing unusual into it. Now we can make use of this print me with respect to any of these two objects respectively. Like अगर हम ob.printme करते हैं, so the statement system.out.println I, what this I is, I have done a mistake by writing I. You must note that there is no variable as I. The variable name is int var. So you must always remember to just check anytime before naming a variable whether that variable is available or not. So I will name it correctly, that is int var. So let us see what happens when I execute ob.printme. Because when I do ob.printme, it will execute this statement and it will try to print the value of int var. So let us see how it performs. But first we will save this program. Let us save this program. Come to the command prompt. Compile this program. Let us run this program again. And you will see that it is printing the value of 1. So as the output is 1 means it is printing the int var which is stored in ob object. Let us experiment this with ob2 too. Let's call this function print me with respect to ob2. Now we must see another execution of this statement, but this int var will be printed with respect to ob2. हमने अभी देखा था दोनों ऑब्जेक्ट के अंदर int var की वैल्यू 1 थी. So whenever I try to execute print me function with respect to these two objects, we should get what? We should get 1. So let us save this program again. Go to the command prompt, compile the program again, execute it, and that's it. As you can see, there are 2 ones, means our program has successfully executed, and that shows कि आपके जो ऑब्जेक्ट्स हैं वो मेमोरी में दोनों अलग अलग स्पेस लेकर चलते हैं. एज आई शोन यू थ्रू एन एक्सपेरिमेंट, थ्रू विजुअलाइजेशन, कि दोनों ऑब्जेक्ट्स मेमोरी में डिफरेंट स्पेस लेंगे. हमारे प्रोग्राम के अंदर int var is declared only once right here inside the class, लेकिन इस डिक्लेरेशन को हम जब रिलेट करते हैं नंबर ऑफ ऑब्जेक्ट्स के साथ, तो हम ये बोलते हैं एवरी ऑब्जेक्ट ऑफ ए पर्टिकुलर क्लास कंटेन्स ए कॉपी ऑफ इट्स डाटा मेंबर. सो एज देयर वर ओनली 2 ऑब्जेक्ट्स, तो हमारे पास इस डाटा मेंबर की 2 कॉपीज रहेंगी. अगर इस क्लास के 100 ऑब्जेक्ट्स बनाएंगे तो 100 डिफरेंट ऑब्जेक्ट्स के अंदर इस वेरिएबल की 100 डिफरेंट वैल्यूज रहेंगी. अभी हमने इस एक्सपेरिमेंट में देखा कि ये वेरिएबल एक कॉमन वैल्यू ले रहा है, बिकॉज इन फन वी हैड गिवन a single initialization to this variable. So that's why both the objects are storing 1. हम इस वेरिएबल को डिफरेंट वैल्यूज भी दे सकते हैं, but how to do it we'll see in the next videos. Hope you have understood this concept. We will explain the further objects in the next videos. So thank you very much. Till then, bye.